Good morning and welcome to another episode of Coffee with the Librarian. Except for this time we're doing a cookout. Yay!
Yay! Cookout with the Librarian.
That's right. The library is outside. So, before I even get started, I just want to say that we have an amazing chef here with us. She's manning the grill today. Her name is Chef Rita, and she's done several programs with the library. And I just want to pass it over to her real quick.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chef Rita, and hi. And I am doing the cook classes here at the Riverdale on the 9th. Tomorrow on the 9th. Then Riverdale on the 16th. Back to the headquarters on the 19th. So come cook with me. It's really fun. I really enjoyed this. It's gonna be fun. You get to learn some new food.
Nice. Look forward to it.
All right. And I'm cooking on the grill.
On the grill.
And I just want you to know, she did one at the headquarters library last month. She did one with us, and she taught the students, and this was adults and children. She taught them how to make the perfect omelet, and everybody had a perfect omelet. Nobody's omelet was messed up. So that was a plus. Everybody's omelet was perfect. She also taught them how to make chicken parmesan and, get this, y'all, stir fry shrimp. She did that. They did it. It tastes great. I taste every last one of those. I did. Well, thank you very much. Get you back on that grill over there. So one of the reasons why we're here outside is because we want to celebrate GLS, and that's accessibility. We are a library that believes in.
Hold on a second.
My mic is not letting me.
Here.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Okay, that's better. So we're a library system that believes in being inclusive, and that includes our patrons who need help in the accessibility area. And this month, in the month of July, we have several programs going on to focus on accessibility. One of them is going to be a paint and sip. So a paint and sip is going to be on July 15th at the headquarters library at 2 p.m. Registration is open for that. You just call the headquarters library. The number for that is 770-473-3850. Hit extension 2, and then they'll be able to put your name on the list for registration for that. It's going to be a great time. If you guys know anything about the headquarters library, then you know that Chelsea is going to be teaching that paint and sip, and Chelsea does amazing things with a paintbrush. So I hope to see you all there. On July 26th, we will be having a GLS end of summer reading month. And that is going to be hosted by GLS. And we're going to have, I believe, blind line dancing, which I did. It's difficult. You got to get your surroundings, and I'm used to seeing everything. So it was very difficult for me, but everybody else had an easy time. And I pride myself on being a great dancer. I was terrible that day, y'all. I was bad, very bad. So that, is there registration for that? Just show up.
Just show up.
Just show up for that one. You don't have to call ahead, nothing. So I'll see you guys there. And with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and turn this program over to our director. Hey, director.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm fine. Come on, Mike.
Oh, wait, this is
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, it's so good to see so many faces out here. I know it's a little warm, but we're going to get through this, and we are going to have a great time as we do. We got some more chairs coming in, so bear with us just a second. But for those of you who are online, thank you so much again for tuning in to Coffee with the Librarian, which again today is Cookout with the Librarian. Thought it was very appropriate right on the heels of the 4th of July that we would celebrate you all, our community, by having a nice little brief cookout. So I am Scott Parham. I am the director for the Clayton County Library System. And the format which we usually abide by for Coffee with the Librarian is that usually there are some questions that are submitted online beforehand, and we will talk about some library related information before we go into our interview. So Kim, do we have any questions that came in this month?
We do have questions, but I also want to point out, me and you, we locked in. You see that?
Yes,
Gold?
the gold is popping, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't get the memo.
That's okay. Next.
Roll it. Okay, so we do have one question for you today.
Okay.
That question is, will we be hosting author events, book signings, etc.?
And the answer is yes. We have a relationship with our library foundation, which now will allow us to start having author events where we can bring in authors. They can do book talking events as well as book signing events, as well as hopefully sell some of the books while they're on site. And so we are ramping that up. We're also looking at doing Indie Author Day, which is usually held in October, November of the year. So we're making plans for that event as well. So great question.
I have one more thing
Yes.
that I just thought you might want to acknowledge.
Okay.
Where are we today? What is this place?
See, that's why. See,
We locked in.
locked in. So for those who haven't been to the Northwest Library before, or even seen it online, we are just outside in this wonderful pavilion, up under this wonderful pavilion. It was erected probably less than a year ago. We've got landscaping in the back so you can see the benches, the walking trail, the lovely shrubbery. And so not only inside of the building, it's very warm, very accommodating, but outside too. So if you're here, and I know it's a little warm, so in the fall, when the heat subsides a little bit, please come read a book out back, enjoy the scenery. So thank you for that. So without further ado, what we're going to do is go ahead and jump into our interview this morning. And I am so very pleased to have a friend of mine, a colleague. We've known each other for a number of years, Ms. Kristin White.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. And Kristin is the Executive Director for the Georgia Library Service for the Blind and Disabled. And so as Kim was talking a little earlier about being very inclusive, we thought it was also very appropriate to have someone who could talk about accessibility and accessibility in libraries and beyond just libraries, because what Kristin does in her department and her folks do touches and potentially touches any and everyone throughout the state.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you again for willing to come on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. So we're going to jump into it. The acronym for that long title is GLS.
Correct.
So could you give us and tell the audience a brief history of GLS
Okay.
and how long has it been providing services in Georgia?
Okay. This is the part that surprises people. GLS is the Georgia Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled. In 1931, the Pratt-Smoot Act was passed by the United States Congress, saying that every state in the Union had to have a library for talking books. So if you hear folks talk about talking book libraries, there's at least one in every state in the country. It is legislatively mandated. Georgia was one of the first states to get on board with this. We actually had our first iteration of a talking book library in 1931. So we're the OGs on the block. But luckily, we've also been a part of the evolution of the program. The program was started to allow World War I veterans who had lost their sight or physical capabilities to listen to books that they could no longer read or see. So at the time, the technology for the record industry was new. How you made records, what you played records on, and so forth. It was all new technology. And this particular program pioneered that technology. So folks would read books, they would be recorded on records, and then people who were enrolled in the program would be sent a huge record player and a big stack of records in a big metal box. It was all free. It is still all free. All of our services are free. Free Matter for the Blind is what the mail designation is. And so they would mail the records. They would mail the record player. You'd listen to the book. Sometimes it would take you a couple of days. Sometimes it would take you a couple of weeks. You'd mail everything back. As soon as they receive that back, they'd mail you another one and back and forth. So we've evolved from the record industry. At one time, we had cassette players. And now we've evolved to a talking book machine. And unfortunately, I didn't bring one with me today, but you can go online and take a look at gls.georgialibraries.org. And so we can mail you a talking book machine now with a cartridge, and we will put all the books that you ask for, up to 20, 25 books. The average is usually between 10 and 12 books. Mail it to you, you listen to them, you mail the cartridge back, we mail you another one. Again, it's all free. You don't pay us fines. It's all mail free matter for the blind, so you don't pay postage. But we also have another new technology that I'll talk about a little bit later that's a little easier for some folks. The talking book machine is a large machine. It's almost impossible to break it unless you're really trying to take things apart. So it's very durable, but it also has large buttons on it. So people who have mobility issues will sometimes choose the talking book machine. But Bard is the newest technology that we have. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. And that can be on your personal device. So you are in charge of the books that you read, when you read them, how you read them, and so forth. So, but we are the Talking Books Library for the state of Georgia. And that's what talking books mean, books that talk to you.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you've mentioned a little bit of the assistance that the library can play a role in. Can you talk a little bit more about how we've partnered
Yes.
in the partnership that libraries, not just Clayton County, but others have with GLS?
Yes, we partner with libraries all over the state. We are the Talking Book Library for the state, not just the Atlanta area. Our offices are in the Atlanta area. At one time, we had as many as 16 sub-regional libraries around the state because it was just easier to get equipment and books to people if they had a location local to them. Now that we have Bard, which is an app, and now that it's a little bit easier to get things out in the mail, we felt like it was a better use of the taxpayers' dollars to condense everything to Atlanta. So we only have one walk-in location here in Atlanta. That's GLS Atlanta, which is located in the Central Library in downtown Atlanta. But our home location is at the Georgia Public Library Service, which serves as our parent organization here in Georgia. And we do a lot of activities out of both of those locations. So again, we partner with libraries all around the state. We're doing the summer reading wrap up here at Clayton County. We're very excited about that, but we did the, yes, very excited. Applause necessary. But we're doing we did the kickoff in conjunction with the summer reading kickoff at the Live Oak Public Library, which serves the Savannah area. So just a testament to the fact that we do definitely go all around the state and serve libraries from Savannah to Atlanta to Catoosa and all points in between. Anyone who calls us and asks us to work with their library, we are more than happy to come and not only work with our patrons in their area, but their patrons in their area and potential patrons that we can share. You can be a patron in your public library and also be a patron of ours. So we're all serving the same constituency and we're happy to come whenever we're invited.
Very nice.
Thank
Now, you mentioned some of the equipment. Go ahead
Yes.
and dive into Bard a little bit, which
Okay.
I think is a new app.
Yeah, well, it's fairly new. It's been around for about 15 years now, actually. So in relation to the history of the program, it's fairly new. But it's called Braille and Audio Reading Download. A lot of people mistake us for the library for just the blind. We are the library for the print disabled, meaning people who are blind or visually impaired, people who are physically impaired, and people who have another organic cognitive disorder. So if you have a grandchild who has ADD and you're having issues with having them sit still long enough to read a book, they can become a patron of ours, get the talking book, and then check out the paper book from their library. They can follow along with the paper book while the talking book reads to them. So a lot of people don't realize that we can serve them in that way as well. So we serve the print disabled community, but Braille and Audio Reading Download is what BARD stands for. It is an app. You download the app from your app store, whichever one you use. It is available in iPhone, iPad, as well as Android products. And so you download the app, you become a patron of ours, you get a username and a password, and then you're able to download books. Now, the amazing thing about Bard is that you're not only downloading audiobooks, talking books, you are also able to download what's known as electronic Braille. So you would download the electronic Braille files. If you have an electronic Braille machine, and that's a machine that has pins that pop up for every Braille letter, every Braille word, it will load the book into that machine, and you can read Braille from our from our Bard app. So a lot of people don't know that as well. Braille is kind of falling, I wouldn't say out of favor, but it's not the most popular form of literacy these days. And so one of the things we try and do is encourage people, particularly people who are losing their sight, to start to learn Braille. We will provide one of those electronic Braille machines. They're very costly. They start at around $1,500. So it's kind of cost prohibitive for people who are not enrolled in our program. But we are part of a national program through the Utah Library for the Blind, where they will issue you an electronic Braille machine. You can become a Bard patron. You can start to download those Bard items. We have audiobooks that will also talk you through learning Braille, and you can take that on as a hobby for yourself. We are encouraging as many people as possible to do that, to start to learn Braille. We also circulate paper Braille through Utah, so you can request paper Braille books. They will mail it to you again, free matter for the blind, no fines, no fees ever. But we are encouraging folks. In the last few legislative sessions, Scott, they have brought bills to make it state law that children in the state of Georgia who are diagnosed as blind or visually impaired should be taught Braille, because right now it is not a law. It is not a part of their educational plan that they be taught Braille. So we're encouraging adults to kind of model that behavior, and we're providing all the equipment and all the resources you need to get that done. So
Nice, very nice.
thank you.
I'm gonna jump into some stats,
Yes,
if you don't mind for a moment.
not at all.
So currently, how many citizens does your office serve across the state?
Right now, we're at about 10,000 patrons. Monthly, it may go up and it may go down based upon the way that we count our patrons. But right now, we're at about 10,000 patrons statewide. It is estimated that we should be able to serve, I think, 1.4% of the population in Georgia qualifies for our program. So our numbers are extremely low in terms of ratios. But in certain areas, we've got very, very high numbers of patrons, and we're really excited about that. And again, we're traveling around the state and coming to places like Clayton County to get our word out, because so many people listen to me talk when I do these kinds of addresses, and they're like, I never even knew you all existed, and you've been around since 1931. So,
Yeah.
that's
Which is why we
we're
do this also.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I was in another forum where you spoke, and you gave some stats, which I think are just phenomenal. And phenomenal in the sense that it was very enlightening. So I think in 2016, the Department of Justice estimated that nearly 40% of incarcerated individuals have a disability, of which 11% of those, it's vision related. How does GLS serve that population?
We have a wonderful staff member by the name of Lamar Robinson, and he serves our prison population here in Georgia. Lamar is in touch with the education staffers at the prisons. He's in touch with the disability staffers at the prisons, and they try and get as many people signed up as possible. They do have some restrictions as to whether or not how they can get our service. Most of them will have to get a talking book machine. And that is contingent upon whether or not they respectfully use the service. But yet your numbers are pretty close to the numbers that we have. We've been told that somewhere around 40% of the prison population here in Georgia qualifies for our program. At last count, and I cannot guarantee this number, I'd have to look you up, but at last count, I think we're serving about 8%. Of the prison population here in Georgia, but 8% of the 40% that supposedly qualify. And again, a low number, but there are a lot of things that go into that. Certain prisons, again, have to administer our program in their facility based upon their rules. If inmates do not use our program respectfully, their folks will, cut them out. But we are there as an option, and we try to get families community advocates and so forth, when they have people who they're working with inside the prison population, to let them know about our program. Because one of the successes that I'm really proud of is we have a number of prison inmates who have used our items in prison, gotten out of the facility, and continue to be a patron of ours. So the fact that they're continuing to read and continuing to kind of become lifelong learners through our program is very important. And those numbers, to me, it doesn't matter how many. What matters is how successful those people end up being when they leave us. So.
Great. We recently had a training session offered here with our Clayton County Library staff, and it was titled Sensitivity Training.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind telling the folks a little bit about that and why it's important?
Yes, we're really excited about our sensitivity trainings. We're kind of trying to expand them. I'm trying to also bring some education officials into how we put the curriculum together. Right now, it's extremely informal, but we'd like to formalize it a little bit more. We are working with library staff around the state to explain to them when a person comes into your facility and they are blind or visually impaired or physically impaired, how do you relate to that person respectfully, so that when they come into your facility looking for information, they actually get the information that they came for, and you actually have a successful reference experience. Does this person need your help? If they do need your help, what kind of help do they need? How do you approach them? How do you ask the questions for the reference interview? Just kind of basic things. How do you direct a person who is visually impaired around your facility? What can you expect? And of course, everyone is an individual, disabled, able, whatever. Everyone is an individual. We also try to emphasize that fact that there's no one way to work with a disabled patron except for respectfully. But there are some tips and tricks that you can use to make them feel much more comfortable in your facility. So that's what our sensitivity trainings are about. And we have 3 of our, when we're fully staffed, we're at 15. Right now we're at 13. 3 of our staff members are blind themselves. So we try and let people know we're not only empathizing, we have people on staff who actually are walking in your shoes or rolling in your wheelchair. So that's one of the goals of our sensitivity trainings, to let folks also understand that we are a part of this community. We're not just serving it.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
GLS is approaching its centennial in a few years.
Yes.
What are some forward-thinking or forward-looking goals that your department is currently evaluating?
Our most forward-looking goal is to have a better relationship with our public libraries around the state. We are housed, like I said, in the Georgia Public Library Service offices here in Georgia. Other states, our program is housed in their state library. It may be housed in their Department of Aging. It may be housed in their Commission for the Blind. We think it's very important that people understand that we are a library and we work with public libraries here in the state. So we want to get closer to the public libraries, again, so that we can share patrons. And that starts now with events like this, with coming to you all and saying, we work together with our public libraries to give their patrons and our patrons every opportunity to get lifelong learning resources. A lot of our patrons around the state use Overdrive, Libby, those kinds of things, but then they also use Bard. You can use them both. If you're in a queue for a book on Libby, you may be able to get it from us. If it's not in our collection, you might be able to get it from Libby. So we want folks to know that we're a part of the public library system. So that's the main thing, that we work closer with the public libraries and make ourselves more visible in the communities that they serve.
Great. And one of the things I just want to stress, it's free.
Yes, everything.
It's free. So if you're online listening or in the audience, the services that public libraries provide, that GLS provides, we have so many offerings. And so we're trying to get the message out using different platforms like this, social media, because how many in here knew all that GLS offered before coming in? I see some heads. So point taken.
Yeah.
And so again, forums like this, activities like this, are so beneficial.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very much.
So in wrapping up, I did want you to have a moment again to talk about the end of the summer reading program. I know the kickoff was down in Savannah, and we talked early on in the year about hosting it, and we are very excited about having it here on the 26th of July, which is a Saturday. What are the hours?
2 to 3:30, I think, is what we decided upon. To give folks a little bit of time to run morning errands, stop by, and then do what they had to do in the afternoon, in the evenings.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Kim, are there any questions? Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes. Rebecca?
Does GLS provide services for our students who are exceptional, the ones who have dyslexia?
Yes. Yes. Does GLS provide resources for our students who are exceptional, such as dyslexic, those who experience dyslexia? Yes, we do. Dyslexia is a qualifying condition. To become a GLS patron, you have to fill out an application, and we ask you for what the qualifying condition is. We'll give you a list of the qualifying conditions, and then someone has to be a certifying authority. Every library staffer in Clayton County is able to be a certifying authority. Anyone working on that desk that gets an application can certify. We do not ask for HIPAA information. That is a misnomer that has gotten in our way a number of times. We don't ask for very specific health information. We used to ask optometrists, ophthalmologists to put the equation related to the visual impairment. You don't necessarily have to do that now. They just have to self-present. So if a person walks up to you and says, I have dyslexia, I'd like to sign up for this program, we're not going to ask you to tell them to go back to the school and get a whole bunch of information. That also was something that got in our way for many, many years. It used to have to be a school official that had to sign for a young person who had a learning disability. They do not have to do that now. You can do it here at the library. So again, if you have a grandchild who's having issues with school, we all talk about the summer slide. One of the best ways for children with dyslexia and other learning disorders to not experience summer slide is to get our audiobooks. And you can listen to them in the car with them. They can listen to them at home. I used to run this program in the state of South Carolina, and I had a parent who signed their child up who was dyslexic, and they got the BARD app on their personal device, on an iPad, and they got the talking book machine. And what they would do is during the day, to be able to have a close watch on what the child was reading. During the day, when a parent or guardian was around, they could listen to the iPad, and they could go in and pick books on the iPad. And children's books are shorter, so an hour to listen to an early chapter book. 2 hours to listen to an early chapter book. But at night, to be able to legislate what the child was reading, they would use the cartridges, and they would put it in the talking book machine, and you can set the talking book machine to play for an hour and 15 minutes and so forth. So they would let it play for an hour. It would do the sunset and turn off. And then the next morning, they replicate the whole thing. So the child was able to read pretty much all day long with full parental involvement, but very little parental effort. So yes, we do, to answer your question.
Yes, sir. We got another question.
Yes. Mhm.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My question was on that same line is what type of services do you have for the hearing impaired and the deaf students and parents? And the reason being is that for parents, only about maybe 10 to 20% of deaf parents actually know sign language. And do you have any classes, any thing online that may assist them through your system?
We do not. Our program was specifically founded to serve what is known as the print disabled, and that's the blind, the visually impaired, and the physically impaired. However, as Scott mentioned earlier, we do serve as a clearinghouse and a resource for accessibility services for public libraries around the state. So we can put folks in touch with agencies that work with the deaf. There's one parent organization, ironically, it's called Pines, which is the same name as our state circulation system. We can put folks in touch with them, and they can work on getting sign language interpreters for it. Say your church or your library is trying to have a program and they need a sign language interpreter. Pines will help them find that person. They will put them in touch with resources. We do serve the deafblind though. And so people ask me all the time, what does that mean? We have patrons who are signed up with our program who have a visual impairment, but then they also have an auditory impairment. So we can check out what we call a pillow speaker. And you can put the speaker under your pillow and it will amplify the book for you. So it's not disturbing everyone else in the room, but you can hear it much louder. We also offer headphones, and we offer regular headphones, and they're branded with the Library of Congress, because that is what our program is under nationally, the Library of Congress. And then every state is allowed to legislate it, and we're legislating under the Georgia Public Library Service. But they're branded, the earphones are branded with the Library of Congress branding. And then they also have high definition earphones for people who are deafblind that will go even louder. So we do try to serve the deaf-blind community, but in terms of the the deaf community in general, we put folks in touch with the resources that they need to be able to live the life that they'd like to live.
Good
You're
question.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, very good, Kristin.
Any other questions? Yes.
Okay,
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview.
thank you.
The Clayton County Library System has GLS ambassadors. Can you tell us their role?
Yes. So GLS ambassadors are library employees. So the Clayton County GLS ambassadors are employees of Clayton County, but part of their job duties are to basically be liaisons to GLS. So we have monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, just letting the ambassadors know what services we have, getting feedback from them, because the ambassadors are also our recruiters. When people come into the libraries and they're looking for information about us, not all of the library employees remember everything about us. They get approached infrequently about our services, so they may forget. But the GLS ambassadors, because they're actively engaged with us, they remember those things. They remember where the applications are. If they don't have applications in-house, they can put the person in onto the website and they can get an application there. They can answer any questions. If they cannot answer their questions, they know who to contact on our staff to get answers for those questions. And again, that's part of our initiative to work with public library systems around the state and their staff so that they can serve their communities with our program. So thank you very much for that question. And we love our ambassadors. We celebrate them regularly. They're great folks. And some of them are very passionate about our program, in addition to their local library service. So we want to thank them very, very much.
Piggybacking off of what Director Parham said,
Yes.
can you give us 3 tips or terms that we may be saying that have an alternative to what we should be saying?
Yes, I can. The first term, and this is one that I really try to drive home to people. Please do not call disabled people handicapped. That word is no longer in our nomenclature. We want to use the word disabled, and we don't want to call them necessarily disabled people. What we'd like to do is recognize the disability that they are experiencing. So when we talk about dyslexic children, we often say dyslexic children, but when you're having a conversation, what you'd like to say is a child who experiences dyslexia, because they are a full person with a whole lot of other wonderful traits, as well as setbacks and drawbacks to their personality. But we do not want to color a person with their disability. So we're not saying that child is dyslexic. When you're trying to have an evolved conversation, you want to say the child experiences dyslexia. So yes, don't say handicap. You want to try and focus on the fact that the person is experiencing a disability and that they are not disabled. And the one thing that I really try to drive home to people, one of the library directors came to me one day, and she had had a life-threatening illness. And she was going through her physical therapy and everything. And she was kind of towards the end of that process. And she said, I didn't realize this until I went through this experience. But, you know, if we all live long enough, every last one of us is going to experience a disability. We're going to be affected personally some way by a disability. And I think that's the third thing that I like to drive home to people, that we always look at a disability as their issue, as their problem. If we're lucky enough to live long enough, we are all going to experience a disability. It would be to your advantage to start being empathetic to that now, before you have to rely on someone else's empathy.
Very nice. So true. Thank you for that question.
Yes, thank you very much.
I don't think we have any more questions, but I do want to say that I am a GLS ambassador.
Yes.
And during one of our trainings, I learned that if you have arthritis, that you classify under the GSL
Correct.
umbrella, right?
Mhm.
I also learned that during COVID, you guys were sending out echoes
Mhm.
to read the newspaper so that people who are homebound
Yes.
could have a sense of someone being at home with them, talking to them, having conversations, and they were just reading the newspaper to them
That's
on
right.
echo.
Yes.
I thought that was so amazing.
Yes. We actually, that's in conjunction. We give out Amazon devices as well, but that was through the Georgia Radio Reading Service, and that's Georgia Radio Reading Service is one of our sister organizations, I like to call them. And so they read papers daily from around the state. And if you qualify for them, you can sign up for Georgia Radio Reading Service. They're called GARS, and you can go to, I think, www.GARRS, I think it is, .org, and sign up with them. But you can use the device that they give you to get barred through us as well. So we kind of do events together and so forth. But yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, we offer in conjunction with a lot of the other agencies that I talked about that we try to work with around the state to give all of our patrons as many resources as possible. And again, if you're local to Clayton County, but you grew up in Dougherty County and you want to hear the Albany newspaper, you can do that through the Echo device on GARS, because they're going to read that paper to you. So yes, you're right. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. So, you don't have any more questions, but I did go check the grill,
Okay.
and the hot dogs and hamburgers look great.
They ready?
They are ready. And the chicken,
It's
there's
gonna be,
chicken on there
it's
too.
gonna be ready in a minute.
No, I mean, some of them is ready.
Okay.
I put one aside for you though.
I
'Cause I gotta know what my breakfast butter.
appreciate
But that's all the questions we have. Does anybody else?
Anyone else in the audience?
Anyone?
I think this has been one of the largest audiences we've had for
Wonderful
Coffee with the Librarian. I just want to thank you all so much for coming out. I know it's a little warm and we're outdoors, but your participation, your being here means so much to us and our guests that we bring in. The information that we try to provide our community is always so rich. It's important, it's relevant, because a lot of times folks won't hear it anywhere else. Yes, Belinda, what you got?
Just one quick question. You
Yes.
mentioned that the ambassadors are employees.
Mhm.
Can some people in the community become ambassadors as well?
I'm so glad to hear that. We have a friends organization. If you go to our website, gls.georgialibraries.org, we have a wonderful friends organization. It's $10 per year to join. And they are pretty much our ambassadors in the community. Our friends sponsor something, a wonderful event, every other month usually, called Braille Bingo. So we do bingo for families. If you come to GLS Atlanta, and we have taken it on the road around the state, we've gone to Brunswick with Braille Bingo, we've gone to Augusta. I used to be the assistant director of the library system in Augusta, so I was very happy that the Friends organization worked with GLS Friends mount this event. We've gone to Albany. Did I say that already? But we've gone around the state. So what Braille Bingo is we have standard bingo cards. We have large print bingo cards, and we have bingo cards with Braille on them. So the whole family can come. So if you have a blind person in your family who reads Braille, they can play bingo, and you do not have to stand there and kind of help them with everything. It also has the numbers on there, not just the Braille numbers, but the actual numbers you can feel, so they can feel the numbers. And the Friends organization sponsors this. They do the prizes. So $10 gift cards to Chick-fil-A, $10 gift cards to Walmart, $10 gift cards. And a lot of times they'll ask in that particular community where they'd like the gift cards to go from. So, but we go probably about 2 hours. I think we had Braille Bingo 2 weeks ago at GLS Atlanta. But that's the kind of stuff that your $10 pays for, your annual membership. So yes, if you'd like to be an ambassador for us, please look up the Friends information on our website and join us. And if you can come out to physically participate, we'd love to have you. We do give volunteer hours for that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, that's our community ambassador group. Yes. Do we have another question? I thought we did. But yes, thank you for asking, and we'd love to have everybody join us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kristin, for being a part of this today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So without further ado, I've been queued up that the food is ready. There's not quite. We have some food that's available, and it will be served in the meeting room. If you go just to the left, there's an open door, air conditioning. It's very cool in there. So please mosey in there, get you something to eat, some drink. And thank you again for being a part of Coffee with the Librarian. We'll see you the next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.